Welcome to Spoiler Kings. My name is Tim Kramer. I'm with Brian the Grizzly and Brandman, and we have a special guest down there, Sergio from the House of Nerd Show. What's up, man?
What's going on, gentlemen? Thank you so much for having me on the Spoiler Kings, man.
Yeah,
Thank you for joining us, man.
Yeah. So before we get started, you want to give a quick shout out to your channel? Let us know what it's all about.
Definitely. Thank you, man. So one of the hosts of the House of Nerd Show. We are a comic book, YouTube and media outlet, man, with a focus on indie comics.
Indie.
You know, we do touch on some DC, some Marvel, but
very rarely. You all indie.
Yeah.
You really indie.
Yeah, a lot of indie.
Yeah.
Some
Which
good
is
indie
real
ones.
cool.
Definitely.
It's really
that's
cool.
really cool.
No, because you get all type of these comics that I wouldn't necessarily want to read, and then I'm start reading it, and I'm like, dude, this is amazing. You really touch on those things, and it's one of my favorite shows on one of my favorite things watching. So
thank you so much, man. It's great to hear stuff like that. DC, Marvel stuff, is popular. It's always gonna be there, right? So we try to focus on and put people onto things that maybe not necessarily have heard otherwise, right? So lots of great content in the indie comic scene, man. So yeah,
you're not wrong. Yeah,
just because of your show, I think I added another like 6 or 7 titles to my pool list. So So
I hope
like
they work out for you, man.
There's a few of them that just started. I'm gonna get going in.
I got another box just because of you. Thanks.
Yeah.
A whole nother box just because.
I love to hear it, man. Yeah, for sure. Brandon, you're next.
Oh no.
Yeah, kids comics.
We make him go to Graham Cracker enough. He's been doing it.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I live just a few blocks away from Graham Crackers, so regular stop for me.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, cool. Yeah. So thank you, Sergio, for joining us. So we are going to talk about Interview with the Vampire. So we already did our rating for all the episodes and the season and stuff like that. And that kind of got us going because you, Sergio, were in our comments and we're talking about it. And we're like, man, we should compare the show to the movie. Because it seems like a lot of conversation is going around on it. I haven't seen too many people doing that. So I figured, you know what, that'd probably be a good idea because both Anne Rice obviously wrote the book and was involved in the movie. Same thing before she passed away. She was involved in the show as well. So she okayed a lot of the changes. So I was kind of curious on how they are. So we're going to keep our focus on Louis, Lestat, and Claudia. Okay. Kind of the main three, that we got. So I really don't know.
So shout out to you guys. You Spoiler Kings and Cookie. You guys were the one who really, listening to the channel and hearing, all the great stuff. I said, man, I gotta check out Interview with the Vampire. And you know what? Oh, I loved it from the first episode, man.
So great, right?
Yeah. So good, man. So good. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good to hear, man. That because a lot of times, at least for us, I'm like, do we just like everything, or we just watch really good stuff because we know what to avoid. So you saying like it was really good, I'm like, all right, cool, So we're just not like super overly positive on everything. But like you said, it was a really good show. You can go check out our reviews of everything. I'll put the link up there somewhere. But these characters, let me bring this up. I should have brought it up already. We have very different Louis. In Louis in the movie, we had Brad Pitt playing Louis.
Brad Pitt.
And here we have I can't think of his name.
Jacob Anderson.
Brought it up.
Yes.
I believe.
Jacob Anderson, which the only other time we saw him in was Game of Thrones. He was Grey Worm. So so we know he's a pretty good actor. So with Louis being now a black man in New Orleans, in the
early 1900s.
1900s.
Yeah.
Very different from Brad Pitt's character and everything.
In the 1700s, which is different too. Yeah.
So I figure the story revolves around Louis. At least he's the one telling the story. He's the vampire being interviewed. So we should start with Louis. So we'll just go around the horn. We'll go, Sergio, you want to start, and then we'll kind of go up and around or down and around.
Sure.
What do you think about Louis from the movie or from the show? Like any similars, any differences, stuff you like one or the other?
Yeah, I think apart from the obvious changes from the film to, I mean, it's quite the drastic change, but I think for the most part, for the story that they're telling, it absolutely works. It's necessary. I would say, so I rewatched the film. Full transparent, I got about 2/3 of the way through. I couldn't finish it completely, but I rewatched it the other night, and I would say one of the things that came immediately to my mind was Louis' character in the film. To me, I found him a little bit more likable as a character. I think in the show, he's purposefully, there's a gray area with him, you know. He's definitely he's a victim, but he's a very unreliable narrator in the show.
Yeah,
where you don't know what's what really, you know. So I think that the producers on that show, I think they purposefully they tried to make him a little bit as an unlikable character. At least that's what I got from. So I found the film version was not so kind of gray. He was more like just he's the victim, Brad Pitt, right? Character versus in the show, we don't really know, man, you know.
It's very in the dark. You're very in the dark about who he is and what we're getting from each one of the characters. I mean, I think that was very cool. Kind of brings you in a little bit more too.
Yeah. I mean, it's more, I won't say not relatable because I don't know how many people own a brothel, but it seemed more like that's what that this version of Louis would do, you know, being where he is and stuff like that. So, but
especially with the way that they introduced him right out the gate when they jump back to the early 1900s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I that's something I didn't really even think about either, is like how he's more goody, I guess, in the movie. Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah. And Cookie came in, and I like that Louis had more to lose, family, business, estate, etc.
Exactly. He had more of a connection to the actual world, the life that he was living before, which is a lot different from the movie. But I mean, I'm gonna let Brandon go ahead and do his take first before I
before you go.
You know me.
Well, I think I preferred this take on Louis. Just like you had said, Tank, they had friendlied Louis up in the movie, in the Brad Pitt version. He was very much a goody, you know, kind of I like that they explored more of the morally gray area with this take on Louis. You know, even using his vampiric abilities to go after a guy who said some nasty things to him. Just you know, he wasn't above being petty at times. I enjoyed that. I liked some of the kind of more questionable things he did, even between the past and even the present day, hiring these guys to his beck and call to feed off of, you know, these servants, that sort of thing. So I was a lot more engaged watching this take on Louis.
Okay.
The updates they made to the character, they worked for me.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
And while you guys are doing that, I'm gonna be right back. I just want to get something out of the refrigerator.
All right, go for it.
All right.
Gotta get a cold drink.
Yeah.
I said I don't know what the Spoiler Kings rules are, and so I said I'm gonna leave the cold brewski in the fridge for this one.
Hey,
dude, no.
Dude, we have a whole show talking about morning spike. We get drunk in the morning.
We take shots of liquor. If whoever loses,
I keep my moonshine with me at all times. You never know.
Hey,
I got two shot glasses So nothing's like taking a shot of whiskey at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday.
That's sick. I love it.
But yeah, it's all good, man.
We have some wine. We always
wine.
ready, man. I'm wine though. Yeah,
that's the way it should be, man. What you got going on over there? Some Jamesons?
No, Jefferson's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, some Kentucky straight bourbon.
Oh, okay.
He's a whiskey dude.
I like whiskey.
Look at the beer. I mean, you can have some whiskey with that.
Yeah.
That's how you grow it, man.
I know.
Where's the wine? That's what we should have had. Had a big chalice.
We should even have a big just sitting there with the wine, like, all right, let's talk about these characters.
I said it's the perfect opportunity to bust out my bottle of wine. I got a nice little Cabernet Sauvignon. I said we're talking interview with the vampire, but
yeah,
I don't know what the spoiler kings are doing. So I played it safe, but next time.
We're good.
Oh, most definitely. We're big drinking.
I'm with it.
Yeah. So real quick before you go, Brian, because I know you got some stuff. We got some other comments talking about Louis. So Horgy said Brad Pitt called Louis the B word role and wanted out, but it would cost $40 million to pick the contract. That's crazy.
Oh, really?
That's crazy. He wanted out of that. I didn't know that.
Wow.
And then Knox said Louis was unreliable in the books because the first book it was from Louis' point of view, but the other books was from Lestat's point of view, and Lestat was like, "Oh, that's not how it went."
What did I say the last time we were on this topic?
That's exactly what you were saying. That's exactly what you're on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Cookie said, "Yeah, I can't wait for Lestat's redemption. I can't wait for that too. Like all that stuff."
The first episode was going to come in. The first episode of the next season is going to be off the chain.
If they do, the Vampire Lestat or stuff like that, I can't. Queen of the Dam, I can't wait.
And hopefully they do it properly.
They'll do it right.
I think so. But yeah, he said the movie made Louis even more boring than he was in the books. So, well, there you go.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
But, okay, all right, Brian, what you got?
Oh, I want to say the book Louis was okay, but he was very dry and didn't have much of a life. Okay, now in the movie we have with Brad Pitt, once again he was the reluctant vampire. It's very much when I think about the movie, I think about you ever watch the show Angel?
With the Buffy one?
Yeah, so like stuff like
Buffy spinoff?
Yes.
Yeah.
So like very the reluctant vampire, very sad, very I don't want to be the vampire. I wish woe was me. I miss my old life and all this other stuff. And that's kind of what I felt, we got from them in the movie with Brad Pitt, and it was kind of, it's just boring. This one I thought was very awesome because he was more tied to his life from before. He had an interesting life. So a black man who owns a plantation in the South during the time of Jim Crow, and he's running a business and it's a brothel. And not just that, he's queer. Whoa, blows my mind. So he has connection, he has family, he has all those things that connect him to his real life. So now when he gets changed, he has a hard time letting go of that.
Letting go.
Because he's connected so much to it. He has family, and those things keep on coming up. Like what do I do with my sister? My mother, how do I deal with, my business? I'm a businessman. I'm a black man still, and still have to take this BS from these peons because I'm above that now. How do I deal with now realizing I'm a vampire? So it wasn't like the Louis from the movie where he was like, oh, I hate everything vampire. It's more like, oh man, I have a awakening of I have more. I don't have to take this racist BS anymore. I can go ahead and be above that. I can be a vampire, and you want to call me boy, and I'm going to show you what a boy can do.
The dope scene.
Yeah.
There were times he embraced it,
Exactly. Which is totally different from the movie and even from the book, which he kind of almost hated it. Another thing from the movie, he had 200 years of being a vampire. And he and Lestat really, I'm not gonna get too much into Lestat, but had a lot of ups and downs, and they had history already. In the show, we getting 30 years, 40 years right here. And that really changed a lot. And you see their connection in their relationship and how it kind of goes up and down. But he just was more interesting. Louis was more interesting. And then at the end of the show, we start to realize we can't trust anything we're hearing from Louis, because we have someone else on the side who could have been controlling this entire thing. And that's why Daniel keeps on saying the discrepancies between what you said before and what you're saying now. Well, there could be a reason. There could be outside influence because of those things. And I love those type of things and seeing that. So I'm not going to take too much more time, but go ahead, Tank. You go ahead. Take it
yeah. Well, real quick, also had Horror Geek came in. Reminder: he only became a brothel owner because his family was in debt. It was the only one of the few businesses that a black man could make this much money in. So So even then he hit a glass ceiling without Lestat whiteness. Yes. So we're getting to Lestat in a little bit, or next actually. But yeah, with Louis. So I never read the books, but I know enough because my mom's like a super diehard fan, where she would I would just from osmosis, just her just talking about it all the time. But the movie though, like Brad Pitt was always kind of a boring character in that movie. You know what I mean? Like Tom Cruise was always fun to watch because just Lestat was better, and he was just kind of boring. That's why with this one, right off the bat with the show, like him being black changed so much right away, right off the bat, without even getting into anything else, and then finding out how he's so attached to the human world still, or the mortal world. I don't know what you want to call it. But seeing like stuff like that, and then just he had more relationships that you start to empathize for this version of Louis.
And it also made sense now why he did kind of pushed away from some of the vampire parts of it, because he had a life, he had a connection to the human world. Which like not eating or not drinking the blood of humans, like eventually he stopped, and I never really got it in the movie. I was like, because he just doesn't want to kill, which I'm like, I guess, but in here it gives it a reason. He's like, no, because these are people I lived with and I knew and I grew up with and stuff like that, like they're my neighbors more or less, these are people that live with me, so it was more like, oh yeah, I get it, I mean, like you don't want to do that. So yeah, that was really cool. But yeah, just this Louis was and Jacob Anderson, I thought crushed it. He was great. Chef for what he did.
He was great. He just brought so much more passion and enjoyment. Like he knew this was going to be something that he could do for the next, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years maybe. So yeah, he really crushed it with it. Where Brad Pitt, now finding out with whoever said that Brad Pitt didn't even want to be in the movie. It was a Horror Geek. Yeah, he was like, he was going to lose 40 million.
B word.
Yeah, so that's kind of crazy. I didn't know that. But
yeah, it's the first time I heard.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Cool. True.
Well, also what, like 20 something years ago. So
I didn't even realize
30.
Almost 30, man. 28 years.
Yeah, 28 years ago. Wow. Yeah, 94.
Easy, man.
I'm old.
Wow.
Exactly. He said, I'm old. Like, yeah, we're all the same age. We talking about we old too.
Yeah.
That was a trip.
Yeah. Speak for yourself. I'm not old. I'm just leveled up.
Yeah, there you go.
Like a fine wine, Brandon, huh? That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Word up.
But yeah, this Louis was just, I think, crushed it compared to Brad Pitt's Louis. And it's crazy because Brad Pitt is Brad Pitt. Even in the 90s,
Brad Pitt is like
hottest man in the world type of, like he was it, it was like, wasn't it like him and Tom Cruise fighting for like best actor and sexiest man alive, and they were both in it, so and it was still a fun movie. I'm not knocking the movie. It was fun, but comparing the two, this character is way more entertaining. Way more entertaining.
Gives more layers to the entire thing.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. He's definitely more a fleshed out character, right?
Yes.
The film version is pretty one dimensional, boring. Like I think who mentioned that they don't really explain his dislike for not wanting to consume humans, right? It just kind of is. He doesn't want to.
Exactly.
Versus the TV version, it's clear, right?
There was an exposition dump or like a narration of Louis when he's first introduced in the year 1791, just kind of explaining how he had lost his wife and child, and how he was kind of suicidal, and that was it.
Yeah,
that's the other thing that's interesting. He had a family beforehand, but he lost them. So he no longer cared about that world. So his life was already over when Tom Cruise gave him another chance at life. And that's why we get into Lestat, but I like Lestat a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean that's pretty much it with Louis, So if you're watching our replay, leave a comment, let us know, because a lot of people loved our last videos of Interview with the Vampire, so I was kind of upset we didn't do a weekly kind of breakdown. But if you're watching our replay, leave a comment, let us know what you guys think about Louis,
read some
either movie or TV.